Let me say this clearly. Most developers do not fail React interview rounds because they do not know React. They fail because their mental model is slightly off. They have watched tutorials, they have used hooks in production, they think that they understand React. But when interviewers ask why something works, everything falls apart. In this video, I'll walk you through all the React interview questions that developers still get wrong. Not tricky ones, not advanced ones, just the fundamentals that can change your result. If your front-end interview is coming up, watch this carefully. Let's start with the most common question. What causes React component to re-render? Most people answer state changes, prop changes, parent re-renders. And that sounds correct, but it's incomplete. A re-render is not the same as DOM update. React can re-render a component without changing the actual DOM. What re-render actually means is React recalculates or recalls your function. In this case, a function is your component. Whether the DOM updates or not depends on the reconciliation. This is why parent re-render does not automatically mean child DOM update. Or this is why React.memo works. And this is why keys matter. What do you think? Whenever a state changes, does DOM update every time? The answer is a clear no. If you say this during an interview, this is a red flag. The correct answer is state and props can cause a re-render, but the DOM would change or not, that totally depends if the virtual DOM and real DOM have something in difference. That single sentence separates your answer from the rest of the normal ones. This question seems basic, but it's a trap. What's the difference between state and props? Most answers sound like definitions, but interviewers care about ownership. Here's the correct mental model. Think about it like this. Props are inputs and state is the ownership of your data. Props are passed to the component and state represents the data that belongs to that component. This matters when interviewers ask, where should the state live? They are testing you that can you lift up the state, can you avoid unnecessary states, and can you reason about the data flow. If you say state is mutable and props are immutable, that's also a correct answer, but it's incomplete. Better answer would be state represents the data that a component owns and controls. Props are the data passed down from a parent. This is one of the biggest interview killers. People treat use effect like component did mount, component did unmount, component did update. That's the wrong way to think about it, honestly. Use effect is for synchronization. Synchronizing your React app with APIs, subscriptions, timers, browser APIs. Not for React lifecycle logic. And the dependency array is where the interviews do get interesting. If you don't understand why dependencies exist, you'll struggle. A strong explanation is use effect runs when the values it depends on change. It keeps external systems in sync with the React state. If you have ever added dependencies just for ESLint, interviewers can tell. This one is a classic. Why shouldn't we use index as key? Most people will answer performance. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is the identity. React uses keys to understand which elements have changed and which haven't. Index represents position, not identity. When a list changes, items move, state moves incorrectly, and that causes a UI bug. Interviewers love people who say index breaks identity when the list order changes. That shows deep understanding. Another deceptively simple question. Control components? React controls the value, more predictable, easier validation. Uncontrolled components? DOM controls the value, less re-renders, better performance in large forms. Software engineers know that controlled is not always better. The correct answer is it depends on the use case and scale. Context is often overused. Interviewers don't ask what is context. They ask when would you use context or when would you avoid context. Because context triggers re-renders. It is not state management and can make apps harder to reason about. You do not always have to create context. Sometimes lifting up the state is cleaner and passing down the props is much cleaner. If you understand that context has trade-offs, you sound like a senior. This question filters candidates fast. Why is setState asynchronous? Not because React is slow, but because React batches updates for performance and scalability. If state updates immediately, then multiple re-renders will happen and the UI will be inconsistent. That is why functional updates exist. You can surely mention batching and scheduling during the interview. That is what interviewers want to hear in this question. This one hurts people. Many candidates overuse these hooks, useMemo and useCallback, and interviewers hate blind optimization. There's a saying here, I'm trying to remember it, but it goes like this, I think. Don't optimize things that don't need optimization. The correct stance over here is that measure first, optimize when necessary, and readability matters. You should definitely use these hooks, but you should use them when re-renders are expensive. Now, my final advice would be, if there is one takeaway from this video, it would be that React interviews are not always about handling APIs, but it's about how you think. Interviewers are waiting for mental models, trade-offs, and clarity, not memorized answers. If this video helped you think about just one concept in depth, then I think you're already way ahead of the other candidates. I'll keep coming up with these interview questions and interview related videos. Stay subscribed. I'll catch you in the next one. See you soon. Bye bye.